going to do some makeup to the
Yeah,
party.
we'll have some fun.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so tell me, what is your name? How old are you?
Hi, I'm Vanessa, and I'm 67 years old.
Super. Where do you live?
I live in Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Super. Okay, so when did you first realize that your gender identity did not match their one assigned to you at birth?
I can't remember the exact age. I think it was probably around 10 years old. And I just had a desire. I wanted to be able to wear dresses and things, but wasn't allowed as a boy. I didn't even understand in those days what gender anything was. I just know I wanted to be able to wear pretty things and stuff, and I wasn't allowed to. So I had to do it in secret.
Okay. You said that you understand your identity when
Hmm.
you are a child. How, for example, you can understand that?
I say I didn't really understand it.
Aha,
I
okay.
just knew that this was something I wanted to do, but I wasn't allowed to
Hmm.
because boys weren't allowed to wear dresses and do girl things. And I don't even know how I knew I wasn't allowed, but I didn't ever tell anybody because I just knew somehow I picked up that, you know,
Hmm.
boys had to be this way and girls that way.
Hmm.
So I didn't tell anybody, but whenever I got a chance to like wear one of my mother's dresses or something, I would do it. Um, Even as a teenager, like if I would babysit, I would, after the kids were in bed, I would go into the mother's closet and try on some of her things.
And heels.
Yeah, heels and dresses and everything. And I would, back in those days, we didn't have the internet stuff, but the stores had catalogs. And I remember whenever the catalog would come in the mail, I would pretend to be looking at the toys, but I was actually looking at the women's clothes section.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Super. So more woman clothes, just to
Yeah,
wear, and it will be
and
interesting for you.
yeah,
Was. Hmm.
say I didn't have understanding of thinking I was a girl. I just knew I wanted to do girl things and wished I was a girl so I could.
Hmm. What was the most difficult part of accepting yourself?
I would actually say that really didn't have anything to do with gender. I and I don't know, maybe it did a little bit, but it was mostly just I didn't feel I was very good at things, and I think I don't want to like blame my parents for it because they loved me and did their best, but I kind of feel like because I had a what I consider an overprotective mother, that I didn't build up a sense of confidence. So I didn't accept myself much just as a person even. Um, and the thing that actually really changed it for me is I joined the Army Reserve, and I learned that I was a very competent and capable person and got a great deal of self confidence. And um, that helped me accept myself. I still didn't feel safe expressing my how my gender didn't seem to match, but at least as a person I felt I gained a great deal of confidence. And so that wasn't until I was like 18, 19 years old. um, yeah, I just so it really took learning that I was a strong and capable person.
Hmm. Okay, strong capable person.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. What moments in your life do you consider the most important in your gender transition?
Yeah. There's several that went together in a fairly short period of time. Um, so I cross-dressed in private through my whole life. My first wife was somewhat accepting of it, but not really. Um, One big thing that helped is when I moved to Calgary and I found out about this cross-dressing social club. So at least there was one place I could go out and be with other people, because that's the first time I ever even met anybody else like myself. So that was big. And then the other things had to do with a woman I was in a long distance relationship with, who, when I told her I cross dressed, she said she was fine with it. She just didn't want me hiding. And that made me, for the first time, consider venturing out in public as my female self. And I had something that happened one of those times where, even though I might go out shopping or something, so if I didn't worry, although at first it was really really scary,
Real
because
scared.
I didn't know what people,
How many years
how they
old
would
you have?
react to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was really afraid to do it, but I did it anyways, and I had some good experiences. But I still was really worried about neighbors recognizing me.
Mm-hmm.
So if some strangers thought, recognized I wasn't a woman, I didn't worry too much.
Mm-hmm.
But then one day I got home and I looked and there was nobody around, so I thought it was safe. And I was wearing a skirt and a tank top, and I got out of the car, and then a woman came around the corner and
Mm-hmm.
saw me, and I had a moment of panic,
Mm-hmm.
and I wanted to get back in the car and hide, but I figured she's already seen me.
Mm-hmm.
I would just be stupid. And she had her young daughter with her, and they just came over and
Mm-hmm.
talked with me like there was nothing wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And that really made me go, what have I been so afraid of? Most people don't care. Now I also realize I could have had the opposite thing. If somebody reacted really badly to me, it probably would have put me back into the closet for a long time. But so then, just little things like that where people were accepting of me, I started doing it more. And then the kind of magic moment was when my girlfriend at the time was here staying with me, and I mentioned laser hair removal for my beard, and she looked at me and said, "You're transitioning, aren't you?" And I went, "No, I just want to get rid of the beard." And by then, I had already grown my hair out long by that point, and that just made me think, like, okay, maybe I'm just denying it to myself and just not prepared to accept that
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit at a time transitioning. And finally, once her and I broke up, I just accepted, well, there's no reason for me to pretend to be anything else anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started living full time as Vanessa, and after a few months, decided I would change my name legally and start on hormones. And yeah, I don't know if it hadn't been for her where I'd be right now. I might
Mm-hmm.
still be cross dressing in secret.
As crossed in secret. Wow, interesting.
Yeah,
I check on that.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. 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 So interesting. Have you said your parents about your that you want change yourself?
Yeah.
About your
I never
that.
did tell my parents, because by the time
Mm-hmm.
I transitioned when I was 65 years old, my father had already passed on, and my mother was close to the end and
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have probably even remembered what I said.
Mm-hmm.
But I can relate my oldest brother growing up became my sister about 20 years ago. And so she told my parents, and they were not accepting at first. They didn't react really badly. They just didn't understand it and were concerned about like what their friends would say about her, presenting female when she was born male and stuff. But they, after a while, they came around and ended up being quite supportive of her. So I'm sure they would have accepted me fine too.
Mm-hmm.
And my two surviving brothers were both fine with it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so fortunately, it, I had an accepting family, and I owe some of that to my older sister who um, did the hard work of coming out first.
Mm-hmm. How to react to the child, for example, go to him and tell that uh, are, for example, LGBT, what was something that what, for example, child want to hear of parents. Ask you.
I will, and I'm going to actually say it not just from what I would want from a parent,
Mm-hmm.
but what would have made a big what would have made a big difference of what I wanted from my wife when I told her I cross dressed was saying that it's okay. I think as a child coming out to a parent, what they need to hear, even if the parent doesn't really understand it, is to say that, tell the child that they love them no matter what, and they will work with them to figure it out. 'Cause I think that's what all children want from their parents, is to be loved and accepted. So, yeah, it's when it's parents who tell the kids, no, you're a boy, you're a boy, you're a girl, you're a girl, and you know that's all there is to it. Or they're not allowed to be gay or whatever thing that's different. Or as happens to a lot of kids, they get kicked out of their house. Parents won't accept them, and like that's devastating. So yeah, the best thing um, is to let your child know you love them and will support them in whatever way you can.
If, for example, parents don't accept that, what child needs to do? How helps? We're looking for help,
Um,
for example, or
th- they can potentially get help from support from their friends, possibly from school. In many places, there's organizations that can help. Like, for example, in Calgary, there's an organization called Skipping Stone who have a lot of services, including counseling and stuff, to support trans people of whatever age. They were helpful to me in my transitioning, and they can make a big difference. So find support wherever you can. Most places have some sort of community service places you can reach out to, but fortunately, some kids just end up living on the streets. It's a terrible thing.
okay. Thank you. Uh, did your gender identity affect your job or career?
No, because I didn't come out at all at work. If I had, it probably would have. And I think because also it's gotten better, but there's already discrimination against women in the workplace already, even cis women. So by changing from a male identity to a female identity, just by that, I'm automatically putting myself in a category of being a woman and having less career opportunities and things. But it's even less acceptable for a man to change, becoming a woman. And I think there was a big part of that is in our society, women are still seen as less. And so, like, for a man to want to go from being up here to why would you want to go down to being a woman? Like, that makes no sense. But it's not it's not a case of choosing, oh, I want to be a woman so I can get paid less and have fewer promotions. Like, no, it's like I want to be a woman because that's who I am. And unfortunately, there may be consequences. I worked in a IT field, and that was like 90% men. So it's not like I couldn't have. There's nothing about my job that a woman can't do. So that, and probably the culture there wasn't really strongly against women like some of the more physical jobs and stuff are. But I wasn't willing to risk it. I was, I could have been fired. I probably would potentially not have gotten promoted as much. So I didn't come out at work. By the time I decided to transition, I was only a couple of months away from retirement. So I just didn't come out until months later when my former boss called me up and said, do you want to talk to me about coming back temporarily? And then I had to do a quick on the spot decision, because when he asked, I had this thought of going, oh God, do I have to go back to being a man? But at that point, I'd gone far off in my transition. I just decided, no, I'm not going to go back to pretending I'm a man. And I told him that's fine, but I'm not who I used to be. And it was the nice thing about that is there wasn't that pressure because I'd already retired. They wanted me to come back. So I'm going, okay, well, take me as I am. If they said no, that's not acceptable, okay, I'll just stay being retired.
Okay.
So there was a no risk at that point to me, and fortunately they were very accepting of me, and so that worked out really well. But I that's not the case for many trans people. They can be fired. It could be, and I would not have ever wanted to have to do a job interview, like presenting as a trans woman. I don't think I would get away. I guess I could work enough on my voice. Maybe I wouldn't give myself away, but so if they figured out I was a trans woman, like there would be a high probability I wouldn't get the job.
On the next question,
Yeah.
did you think about that come back in a man, come back to be a man? Did you think about that?
I did.
And
And early on, and I was still kind of like figuring out where I fit. So being like part male, part female, male in some situations, female in others was okay early on because I was just still figuring myself out. But it got to a point where I absolutely knew I never wanted to present male again. That's not to say I can't wear pants or whatever, but it was like, it wasn't about clothes anymore. It was about who I am. And even though there are some situations where presenting male would make things easier, I I'm strong enough now that, let's say there was a law or something passed that forced me back to having to live as a man, I could do it. The idea of having to do it is very upsetting. Before I transitioned, I didn't hate being a guy or anything. It was all right, other than I didn't get to express part of who I am. But now that I've gotten to live as me, the idea of going back to presenting as a man is, I just couldn't. Well, I say if I had to, I could, but absolutely don't want to.
Mm.
And I think the kind of the thing that hit me, like when I started living as a woman, I kept some of my male clothes, thinking there might be situations where, like when I'm traveling, where I just be less hassle if I just present, especially before I had my new passport and stuff. I could dress up like a man and get on the airplane and use my old identity. But after, I don't remember exactly how many months, 6 or 8 months of living as Vanessa, I got rid of all those whatever male clothes I still had, because I realized I never want to put them on again, because that's not who I am.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Super. Um, how did your emotional state change after openly expressing your gender identity?
I actually surprised myself.
Surprised yourself.
Yeah, because I wasn't unhappy as a man.
Mm-hmm.
I had a pretty good life and was fairly content with it. But there was a part of me that I had to keep hidden and suppressed. Once I felt free to fully let my feminine self out, see, I didn't realize, I thought it was like a part of me that I didn't want to hide. And I went through what a lot of people like me do, is they go through periods of their life where we call it the purge among cross dressers and trans people, where you go, all right, I'm gonna get rid of all my female clothes. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm done with that. I'm gonna be a man. And but it always comes back, and you can't. It's part of who you are. You can't keep it suppressed fully. And when I started living full time as Vanessa, I got to see that this is who I am. It's not just a piece of me. Effectively, even though I'm still stuck with this male body, which does bother me at times, I am finally free to be me. And that feels really, really good. Not everything in my life is great, but I feel like a big burden has been lifted off of me that I didn't, to a large degree, didn't even realize was there. But now I love being me.
Mm-hmm.
So
Are you happy? Are you feel happy?
the vast majority of time, yes.
Mm-hmm.
I get lonely sometimes. Um, But yes, I'm happier, and I'm happier than I was before because I don't have to hide who I am. I can be me, and I can do things I love to do that I couldn't do before.
Mm-hmm.
And hiding who you are is hard. And it's like I want to be accepted and stuff, but I got to the point like I don't give a fuck if somebody doesn't accept me. That's their problem. I'm going to be me, whether they like it or not.
Mm-hmm. Good. That's important. Accept it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
What helped you cope with stress or difficulties during your transition?
I have to say that it was the community.
Community.
Both, I'm very fortunate in that my friends and family were supportive, but I got involved in the queer community, um, and I found lots of support there. Um, Both like just moral kind of support, but also learning. Like I didn't know how to do this, um, but I met other trans women who came out years before me and learned from them and found out, about surgeries and all this kind of stuff. So I fortunately didn't have to do it on my own. I found community who are supportive.
Mm. Community helps
Yeah.
a lot of. Uh, in your opinion, how has society attitude toward transgender people changed over the years?
For quite a while, it was getting better and more accepting. It certainly is still overall, it is much better now than when I was growing up. For one thing, there's information out there, so people actually know that it's possible to be trans, gay, whatever. I didn't even know, like, I knew nothing about any of this as a kid. I had never, I mean, the only examples I saw were things like Rocky Horror Picture Show. uh, there just wasn't anything out there to understand. So and largely anything to do with trans people were kind of made fun of. And I know, like, if I had ever gone to school wearing a dress, I would have been beat up. Absolutely, there's no question about it. That's um, Even if that hadn't happened, the school probably would have sent me home. I was picked on and stuff as it is because I was a small kid growing up. Like to show up at school in a dress as a boy, yeah, forget it.
Not
You're taking
accepted.
your life in your hands. So that has gotten better. Kids can. It's far from perfect yet, but there's much more acceptance out there. There's organizations to help. There's information. There's the internet,
Mm-hmm.
which didn't exist when I was growing up. Unfortunately, in the last few years, there's been a backlash, and politicians have decided that trans people make a handy target to distract people and get votes by attacking us and restricting us.
Mm.
And so it's actually getting harder in a lot of places um, to be trans now. There's
Mm.
laws being passed about whether, particularly trans women. The trans men have it a lot easier because I haven't seen anything like saying, oh, trans men can't compete in men's sports because there's no perceived advantage for them. I'm not saying trans men don't have difficult time in things. They still do as well. But it's in particular trans women and girls are the ones that seem to be the targets. And it's one of the things that really angers me about it is there's primarily male politicians who never stood up for women in the past, who now are trying to claim they're protecting women from trans people. Like, it's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care about women or protecting women. If they did, they would pass much stronger laws against rape and things like that. But instead, it's easy to say, oh, well, it's not fair that a trans girl or woman should compete against cis women and crap like that. And trying to restrict what medical attention we can get and these kind of things. So, and, passing laws about what bathrooms we can use and stuff. So, yeah, it's getting harder. And there's certainly some places where I will not travel because it's not safe for me.
For example, what places?
Some country like Russia, for one. Not that I would want to go to Russia anyways, but
Understand.
that's not a safe place. A lot of places in Africa are
Mm.
not safe, and some of the big U.S. states, places like Florida and Texas and
Mm-hmm.
Kentucky, and some of those what are considered red states, who are passing all kinds of anti-trans laws, where I could get arrested for using a women's washroom. So unless I had a really good reason to go to those places, I won't.
Mm.
Partly because I don't even want to support those states with my money, buying things there. Although I realize not all the people in those states are against us, but I just don't feel safe going to some of those places because I don't know what's going to happen if I go.
What advice would you give to young people who are unsure about their gender identity? What?
I I struggled with that question emotionally because it reminds me of what I didn't have. There's two really important things I would want to say to them. First of all, that they're okay, there's nothing wrong with them, even if they're different than other people, and even if they're not accepted, that there's nothing wrong with who they are. And they have to do whatever they need to be safe. And as much as I would love to be able to just tell them, just be yourself, I know it's not safe for some kids because of the environment they're in. But to seek out in any way you can people who can help you discover who you are and find, if possible, a safe way to explore their identity and figure out who they are. And even if they have to keep it secret, that know again that there's nothing wrong with them, and eventually they will get to a place where they can safely explore who they are, transition if that's the right thing for them, And, but if they can, if it's safe, again, unfortunately, many schools have been passing laws that if you confide in a teacher, they have to tell your parents, which may not be safe. But, find somebody you can confide in. And even if it's like, if, there's suicide prevention hotlines and things like that, that to get whatever help they can in wherever they live. And, that there are people who will love and accept them.
Mm. Thank you. What?
Good thing we didn't do the makeup first.
Yeah. It's true. It's really important that you show your feeling, your emotions, because it's really difficult theme.
Yeah.
And really important. And a lot of people want to hear that are accepted, that they are okay. For example, maybe not for everyone, everything. And it's important too. And thank you that you tell about that. Tell about that, tell about them. What achievement are you most proud of?
In my life as a whole, or in transitioning, or what? I'm not sure what you were.
About some experience and advice. This question. For teen. Mm-hmm.
I am proud that I found the strength to take the risk of discovering who I really am and living authentically. Because I say that I've gotten to a point now where it's relatively easy. I'm just being myself, and to go from the place where I was afraid to be seen to living my life, like having people like plumbers come into my place, and I don't care whether they see that I'm trans or not. And so far, fortunately, I haven't had any bad experiences that way. But I remember before, if I was at home and I was dressed female and somebody came to the door, I was afraid to answer the door. I would run to the bedroom and try and change quickly or whatever. And like, I look at that now and going, like, who cares? Like, so if I went to the door dressed as a woman and somebody got upset with it, like, fine, close the door. But that's not where I was back then. I mean, I've been so conditioned by society to hide it that, to me, the biggest accomplishment is just fighting through that fear and taking a chance to stop hiding and live authentically. And there's some situations where I just want to blend in and be any other woman. But there's other times when I'm proud to be out there as a trans woman and be very visible, and especially fight for the rights of trans kids who are having laws and stuff passed against them. And I've had parents of trans kids who've met me at various events and stuff say that I'm an inspiration. And I didn't do this to be an inspiration to anybody, but that by me finding the strength to be myself, I can be inspiring to somebody else. That means a lot. And so when you saw my hockey gear today, and my hockey pads I purposely did them in the pink, white, and blue of the trans flag. And I've got my helmet done that up that way and stuff. And I mean, a lot of straight people, they don't know what those colors mean anyway, so it's no big deal, right? But people in the community do know what those colors mean. After a game about a month ago, one of the women on the other team came up to me and she said her son is trans. And when he saw me out there in my holy gear that's in the colors of the trans flag, it really excited him. It was because she said he's not able to transition at school because of bullying, but it meant a lot to him to see me playing hockey in my trans colors. So, it's things like that if I can, in being my authentic self, can help other people do that, or help straight people see that there's nothing evil about us, then to me that's a big accomplishment. Besides just being able to be myself. And I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things I'm proud of myself. I've like getting into drag and stuff. So, yeah.
So that you show this flag, yes, how to say it, transition flag?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody you can help, who, for example, wants something, ask you, yes, or
Yeah.
to take an to communicate with you about like this wife in hockey, about the son. So it's it
And
helps.
I'm actually making an effort now to be a spokesperson kind of thing out there. So, for example, I think it was just last weekend, I was in Canmore. There was a Pride Through Generations panel, and they had people of various age groups on the panel. I volunteered to be on the panel to represent older queer people and answer questions and stuff. And I've been on interviews when my hockey team put on this queer hockey tournament last year here. I agreed to be interviewed by one of the local TV stations to talk about it and stuff. So I really, like I say, there's some circumstances where I just want to be an ordinary woman hanging out with other women, but I also want to be out there loud and proud and standing up
Mm-hmm.
for trans people and anybody, frankly, whether trans, not just anybody, right to explore and find out who they really are and
Mm-hmm.
live their authentic self.
How about body? Transition
But
people, yes, change body, all of part,
well, I mean,
or more
if there was
accept.
a magic
Yeah,
pill I could take that would give me 100% female
yeah,
body,
yeah, yeah.
I would absolutely take it.
Uh-huh.
I don't I don't hate and there's many people who have really strong difficulty with their body not matching their gender. I've There's times when it bothers me. Most of the time, it doesn't a lot. I really wish. I mean, the hormones have helped. I like having breasts. That's cool. And when I see myself in clothes, I'm pretty happy with what I see.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at myself naked, I'm I'm proud of my body without gender being attached,
Mm-hmm.
in the sense that I've taken really good care of myself. I I think I'm in really good shape for someone my age.
Super.
So I'm proud
Mm-hmm.
of taking care of that I've taken good care of my body.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the body I want because it doesn't match my
Mm-hmm.
gender identity. And in particular, I guess this, and I'm a little torn about this because I I still have reasonably good muscles, like
Mm-hmm.
biceps and stuff, right? But and as a man, that was something I was proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's sort of like, well, um, but I don't know. Even if it doesn't look terribly feminine, I
Mm-hmm.
still like that I'm in good shape and I'm strong and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. The size of my chest and shoulders, I'm not happy with that
Mm-hmm.
part. And I don't know if this is too personal to kind of say, but I mean, I don't care. I don't have
Mm-hmm.
body issues as far as I don't mind being naked in front of people and stuff, as long as I don't want to upset anybody if they're not comfortable with nakedness, but it doesn't bother me any,
Mm-hmm.
which is a huge change from when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's like when I look, and I like that I've developed breasts,
Mm-hmm.
and if they were on a body your size, I'd be very happy with them.
Mm-hmm.
On my chest, I look at when I'm dressed like this, I'm happy with how I
Mm-hmm.
look. But I look at myself in the mirror and it's like, all right, I have these breasts, but they're on a man's chest.
Yeah.
And unfortunately there's nothing I can do about that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the body I have. So I'm learning to be comfortable with that
Mm-hmm.
and saying, well, it is what it is. It's not there's no cure for this.
Mm-hmm.
The one other thing is what's between my legs, and that doesn't cause me a lot of trouble other than it doesn't fit. It's
Mm-hmm.
not right for who I am, but it's not a huge thing. But yes, I will probably have the
Mm-hmm.
surgery done to change it into well, there's two levels of surgery I could do. One is where they build an actual vagina where
Mm-hmm.
you could have intercourse with a man if I was so inclined. That takes a lot of recovery time and work, and you have to do this thing called dilation, which is basically using a dildo to keep it out multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, the body wants to, because it's not meant to be there. So it's a lot. I've talked to other women who've gone through it. That's a lot of work and much longer recovery time and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
if, and I mean, some trans women want to be in a relationship with a man and be able to have quote normal intercourse with them, and so for them it's worth that effort. At my age, and because I'm not
Not
all that
so.
inclined towards having, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it would be, I would like to see what it would be like,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not a big deal. Like, to me, the work of keeping a vagina
Mm-hmm.
working is probably not worth it for me at this
Yeah.
age. For the odd chance I might have sex with a man at some
Mm.
point, but they could do another thing, which is called so the whole deal is called vaginoplasty, and the other is
Mm-hmm.
sometimes just called zero depth or a vulvoplasty, where they build the outside
Mm.
of female genitalia. So from the outside, you look female, and that's probably what I will end up having done. And then I will feel more comfortable in women's change rooms. I won't have to worry about wearing tight leggings or whatever and trying to hide
Mm-hmm.
what's there. And I think I will just feel more complete as a woman when that matches who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought, like I told you, like the work of trying to keep a vagina open is probably not worth it for me. I still can't help thinking, like, maybe I won't feel complete without that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Interesting.
But yeah, I think I will be more comfortable with my body when that is done.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just have to learn to accept the parts that I can't change.
How many costs to be stop 100% woman?
It so again, it depends on where you go,
Mm-hmm.
what surgeons and what country and so on. I believe if I was to pay for it privately in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
breast augmentation surgery, if I wanted to have bigger breasts, it's probably around $10,000.
Mm-hmm.
Bottom surgery is $20,000 and up, depending on the surgeon and stuff. Certainly, if I was to go to a private surgeon in the U.S., it could be like $100,000.
Mm-hmm.
But then you could go to countries like Thailand and stuff and get it for maybe a few $1,000s. So there's different.
Legalized. Legalized too. Certificate, passport
Yeah,
need to change.
but like I say, I've already got the paperwork done.
Yeah.
So regardless of what my body says, my legal identity is female, and that helps a lot. But yeah, the surgery is, and then there's things like I could have facial surgery done to alter my face to look more feminine, and that's again thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
If I had the money, and definitely if I was younger,
Really?
I would be inclined to do that. But
Uh-huh.
I don't have the money, and those kind of things are considered
Yeah.
cosmetic and not covered by our Canadian medical system.
Mm. Okay.
And I'm really not sure at my age it's worth,
Mm-hmm.
those,
Could be more dangerous.
that's painful
Mm-hmm.
to do that sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing. But if I could, and definitely if I was younger, and then I would have more years
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy it. But yeah, for me, and if there really isn't a good surgery that I know of that can do a good job of
Mm-hmm.
feminizing your voice.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, when male puberty kicks in, it changes your vocal cords and stuff. And there's some surgeries that can help,
Mm-hmm.
but they're kind of hit and miss, and again,
Mm-hmm.
lots of money. So I won't bother with that kind of thing.
Okay. Okay. And the last question,
Yeah.
and let's go. What you say about sex in trans people? How
Well, that is a
man,
different.
woman,
Yeah.
or what?
So that's a really difficult one, um, because, and that's where, again, if I had the surgery, then it would be easier. I'm primarily attracted to women, so my most likely kind of to get in a relationship with would be a lesbian. But I don't know how accepting lesbians would be of me right now because I don't have female parts. And if that's what's attractive to them, well, that kind of rules me out. Um, so I know, certainly, I know younger trans women that I know don't seem to have any trouble hooking up with people, but it's harder when you're older. I hope I can meet somebody who it doesn't matter to them. I know I will most likely never have sex the way I did as a man. Um, I almost never get an erection anymore. And if I do, it's not probably one that would last long enough to actually have it. Assuming a woman was open to having intercourse with me, it probably isn't going to happen anyways. But I still have, I can still be aroused sexually. I can still feel good to touch myself, and I'm sure it would feel really good to have a woman or a man, frankly, touch me down there. Um, but I'm in this in between place right now where I don't, it makes it difficult because
Mm-hmm.
that's not that I. There are people out there that don't get hung up about body parts. They're not the majority. So yeah, I don't know. And there's a certain number of men who to have sex with a trans woman is kind of a fetish thing. Um, I don't really want to be somebody's fetish. I'm not saying I wouldn't ever do it if the opportunity came up, but yeah, I don't know. It's a really challenging place to be in. Um, so yeah, I really don't know how it can work. I know I do want to be able to be physically intimate with someone. I've never been somebody who just had sex with strangers and hook up and stuff. I've always only ever been in sexual relationships with somebody I had an emotional connection with. And that's just me. I know that's there's a lot of times when I think of like that's not what like most guys are like, but I'm going, yeah, because I wasn't most guys, obviously. But I guess in many ways, I really
Okay.
didn't fit the pattern of most men because
Yeah.
I wasn't. I
Yeah.
mean, in spite of my body, I didn't have the kind of attitude that most men have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that I think there's anything wrong with people just having sex with each other if they enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, whatever you like, do it. I got no issues. Just be safe about it. But that's just not who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never really felt comfortable like just seeking out sex for the sake of sex. Again, if the opportunity came up and I felt comfortable in a situation, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I'd do it. But I don't know. And I personally would have no problem having some sort of sexual intimacy with another trans woman. I I suppose even with a trans man, although I don't. find anything appealing about trans men
Mm-hmm.
per se. And but I don't know. I'm kind of in a place of open to exploring whatever
Mm-hmm.
comes along. I'm
Okay.
I'm throwing out my previous preconceived notions and saying, well, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm open to it. The only thing I'm not open to right now
Mm-hmm.
is accepting that I will never have physical intimacy with somebody again. Like I told you about this
Mm-hmm.
partner I had before who had no interest in any kind of physical intimacy, and that's not it's a place I'm ready to be. Sex isn't nearly as important in my life as it used to be, partly because of age, but also
Mm-hmm.
just since being on female hormones and not having testosterone,
Mm-hmm.
my sex drive has gone way down.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not gone.
Interesting. Thank you so
But
much.
to
Yeah.
me, emotional intimacy is more important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you so much
Yeah.
for this interview.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
you're a
I
really
was,
interesting person, and I very happy that have opportunity to communicate with you. You're so
I,
cool. Good. Let's go to the
yeah.
party.
Yeah. Let's,
Oh my god, improve my English. Треба.
oh,
I need. Oh, so good. Oh my god.